first things I want to do is put the canopy adapters on. We've got one that's going to mount on top of the rack back here, the pannier rack. And the reason being, there's no place to put it under here because all the stuff that comes off of the canopy adapter and the V-block would be in the way of battery insertion and extraction. So we've got an adapter that'll fit on the top. What it will look like, we're going to use tie straps here. I'm going to use tie straps to secure that to the rack rails, and we'll just see how it works. Well, this is what we've ended up with. I tried to put the little tie wrap nuts. You can see where they are, because I did not cut anything off. Hope you can see that. Kind of up out of the way. We could leave them on there. Not going to hurt anything. You got the idea. A little slot here, if you're wondering, is to where I get this bolt down into the hole here without going through the whole block. So this serves no purpose other than, besides looking cute, it enables this bolt to be inserted in this slot and through the hole here. So that's ready for the canopy right there. In fact, we can go ahead and put the V-block on. It's separate. We can do that. I have found that it is sometimes easier to go ahead and put the V-block on This is a V-block. It's got an oval keyway in the back and an oval keyway male on the canopy adapter. So when that's put on there, it keys in on that keyway. Okay. The canopy rods will go down through these outermost holes. There's a little elastic part in this three-wing knob, so there is some resistance here. I leave the elastic in there so it doesn't have a tendency to vibrate off. So that's ready for the canopy to go in. So let's work on the front. And up front, what we're going to do, we're going to pop this plastic cap off and go down inside with a rubber bung and a quick disconnect up here. So that's both of those are pretty simple things. When you get the canopy, this rubber bung that's on the bottom will go down inside that tube. But before you start working with this, that little square plastic plunger there, if this lever is inadvertently hit right now, it will dimple that plastic plunger and it won't come back out. So what we're going to do, I'm going to push down on that plastic plunger, and you'll see it. If I can do this one-handed, I'm going to push down on that plunger and that lever will trip sideways like that. And that way I can use the whole top part as a lever to tighten up on this rubber bung. I'll pull this apart a little bit and show you what's inside there. Okay, the rubber bung has a nut, a flanged nut, an insert impaled. It's got barbs on it, impaled in the bottom of the bung. I turn these on like a lathe, and then it has a rubbery coating just to hold that nut in place. Because it is threaded. It's metal, stainless steel. It is threaded, and this stud is Loctited into the bottom of the receiver. So that's how that all works. And when you tighten the threads, it squeezes, it pulls this rubber bung together, and it expands inside the tube. So hopefully we got the right side in my hand. I've got about 30 different sizes of these that I make, because those tubes are all different diameters. So I'll go ahead and get that started, and we'll take another. The easiest thing I have found to remove those caps with, it's a plastic cap, is just a very, very thin putty knife. I pry it in here, and it's going to be hard for me to do that and hold the camera, and I don't think it's important that you see me fumbling around, but that's the easiest thing to use to get the cap off. It's just there's a barbed shaft in there that holds it in place, so we'll take it out. Okay, I'm going to take a picture of this little cap. You can see the barbs on the end, and also after I get a cap off, I always check to see if there's any really big burr around this lip, and in this case there is not. So we're going to go ahead and we'll change hands with the camera, and while before I put this bung back on the bottom of the quick disconnect, you can see that that's a snug fit. After I get the quick disconnect on the top, I can use that as a lever to kind of wind it around and get it down in there. So I'll go ahead and do that. There's a little space of about, gosh, I don't know if you can see that. It's a little tiny space where the part of the bung is left exposed out the end of the tube. So when this is squashed down, it won't be metal to metal. So let me go ahead and tighten that up. With a little bit tight, all we have to do is trip that little plunger. I get my fingers down in there. There we go. Didn't know what I was doing there. You just have to pull it over. Anyway, when the canopy goes in, it'll trip that little plunger and lock it in place. That's right. This is how you open it up. But you can see if I were to crank on this handle with the plunger deployed, it'll dimple that little plastic plunger. It'll go down inside and won't pop back out. You can take these apart, but that's not a lot of fun. So that's how the operation of the quick disconnect is. And we are absolutely ready for the canopy, which I brought out and stood up right there. Let's put that on. So I'm gonna put the near side in first. And the first side you put in there, that's easy. The second side, I'm gonna grab this rod and bend it, but I want to make a nice big bend. I don't want to break it here, or I don't want to break it at all. So I'm going to bend it, and I want it to go straight in the hole. I don't want to chip the wood off here. So I'm going to line it up, bend it, and push it in, just like that. With this elevated adapter, we probably are not going to need any rod sniffers here, because this is so high up. The rod sniffer is to get a lot of loft on the canopy. We've already got that because this is up so high. I'm not even going to guess. I'm just going to leave it right there. I've got both tips of the rod just kind of touching. Another thing while I'm thinking about it too, I wanted enough elevation on this adapter to where we could leave a little bit of rod down and still be able to take the battery in and out. We're ready to see what this is going to look like. So I'm just going to go ahead and hook it up like that. And I can begin to see we're going to need longer rods up front to get us more loft in there. I think these are 20-inch. And the 20-inch rod, I could lengthen it 2 inches, but that's still not going to be enough. If you get this far with the canopy, I can already see the height of the canopy above the rider's head, that's not looking bad. But if you get this far and you wonder how in the world you're going to determine the length of those front rods, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and get a piece of wire, and I'm just going to tie it out here until we get to a point where we know how much longer we need to make these rods, and I'll replace these rods. So let me go get a piece of a wire or rope. I'm just going to take and put that there. Disconnect the canopy. Anytime you disconnect it, make sure you got a hold of it. You don't want it to fly up and hit you in the face. And just something to hold it there. That looks awfully high. Before I know, we really want to tune the back part first. I can see that this is the shape I want, but if I need to lower the whole thing, I want to start back here. So I think the next thing I'm going to have is Johnny climb on this thing, and I want to see where we are with head clearance. Johnny, if you'll get on that, I'm going to take and pull this loose, and let me get this out of your way. Yeah, you just hold on to that and go ahead and get aboard. And this is that's the first time Johnny's been on there with the canopy, and I'm going to hook this back in here. All right, you should be able to just let it go. Yeah, we've got to bring that down. You begin to see we've got to bring it down. The shape, oh, it's just really perfect. So now we have to start lowering. And when we start lowering this, it might very well be that when we start jamming those rods down here, this may be the right length. I kind of doubt it, but I'm going to start back here. And in order to do the rod down through those openings, I've got to loosen the set screws so these go back in there easily, but you want to have the canopy elevated to make it easier for those rods to go down into those ports. Well, yeah. Well, here we are. Now, these rods won't want to cross because they're right on the same plane. So the first rod's easy, but the second rod, I'm going to have to lift it up. I'm going to see which side would be easier to go behind or in front of, because they will have to cross. So keep that in mind. They're hitting perfectly. It might want to come to the backside. And I'm actually going to put my thumb and push the other rod in and run that one beside it. So now they're crossed. And I'm going to go ahead and take this down quite a ways. This is probably the most misunderstood part of putting this canopy on a trike or quad. Because if you don't do this, the canopy is going to be so far up in the air, there's a lot of sway to it, and you don't want that. You want to tuck it down as far as you can. Johnny, you normally ride with the helmet on? Usually. Okay, so we want to save a lot of room. Now on this particular trike as well, we've got a suspension system. So that canopy, when the suspension system goes down, the canopy will go up. But when the trike goes up, try to lift up on it. Trike goes up, the top will come down. So it's going to go like this. We knew this beforehand. You can detune the suspension to where it's stiffer. Obviously, the rougher the road, the more of this movement you're going to have. Several people have reported that it makes a noise. I believe it may, and we're just going to have to find out. But Johnny wants a canopy. I want to sell a canopy. We're putting a canopy on. Let's see what that does to the look before Johnny gets back on board. I think we can go more down in the back. On my trike over here, I've got a foot cut off of the rods, just to give you some idea. You don't have to cut these loose ends off. I suggest if they're not in the way, you can leave them long, but you won't be able to pull the battery out with these being long. Now you can take the canopy off and pull the battery out. But the reason for leaving them long is if you want to take the canopy off and put it on another trike, you might need these. And you can't just glue them back on, the loose ends here. So, no, well, that's not too bad. Yeah, we're getting down there now. We're getting with the program. That's 9.5, and that's 10. This needs to be shorter. Yes. By about that much. I'm looking at the level according to what's on the trike. I'm going to tighten that down. We'll see what that looks like. Very time consuming. When you're lowering the canopy, I usually just put my hand on the top and just sort of drag it down. Get up here, grab the rods. Of course, in this case, we're going here. And I think I'm going to have to start shortening this as well. Too much. Let's leave it alone. I'd like this crown to be right over the rider's helmet, but not always possible. And I'm going to get Johnny back over here on this thing. Kind of watch your step there. Oh, sorry. There you go. How long have you owned this trike, Johnny?
1 day.
A whole day?
A whole day.
1 day. Let's see what you got here. Johnny, it looks bad. This might be too bad for you to have, okay? I don't know. We'll put some sticks on there for you to beat people off. That looks really nice. We changed out the rods. We went from a 20 to a 25. But we need, let me put the wire back on here. We'll get Johnny back on here and see where we go next. If we can get on. Is that too low?
Not really. You know, it could go up a little bit, but not a lot.
Wow. Jump up and can you jump up and down? I mean, just kind of get the. Okay. We got plenty of height. Heck. So our initial, it may very well be that our initial assessment of making them 5 inches longer, maybe that did work. It just looked low, but boy, it looks bad. It looks bad in a good sense. You know what I think is affecting the way this looks? Is that when you're on there and down, that's how we had it adjusted.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm curious, because I'm going to measure this point to the ground. It is exactly 49 inches. within a 16th. I'm going to let you get back on there and see what we've got. Oh my word. There you go. You got it. You got it. We went from 49 to 51. So what's happened with the suspension, when this part of the trike goes down, the canopy goes up. And in this case, it went up 2 inches. There's the look we were looking for. But it only occurs with the rider aboard. It's always been an issue that I suspect that we'll just have to, I don't know, get used to or whatever, but when this suspension works, that's the noise that when you've got a lot going on here. Can you withstand a little? Maybe. But we still got visors to hang on here. Those visors are not, and they're hanging down on the bottom side. Before we even ride on this, it may very well be that the visors can only be used. Now you can dock them up, but deployed and hanging on a fairly level road. If it starts getting off-roading, put them back up, tuck them in, because you understand we're going to likely have some limiting operating room with this. This is not too bad. That's not good. So I don't know what's going to happen. We can detune, you can detune the sensitivity of the suspension, but this is where we're starting. So let's look at a visor. This is how they come. These little hinge tabs are loose on this side. On the textured side, just pull those loose. That's your hinges. This little tab here, if you'll pull that off of this patch and go ahead and register it to one side and the other, and it'll make a loop in the middle. If you'll pinch that loop, we're going to put the visor rod in the side through that little loophole, and that's your visor. The textured side goes up, the small part of the visor goes to the front, so this is a left visor. We're going to stick these Velcro hinges on the patches underneath after we put this rod through, and that's all you need to do. So I'm going to rotate this rod out, and you rotate the visor with these little knobs on the top. I'm going to put that rod through that little opening right there, take these little hinges, attach them to the Velcro patches, and we have a visor. Same thing on the other side. Take it loose on the textured side. Pull this little tab off. Reapply it to where it's flush on each end. And because it's longer than the patch that's on the visor, it'll make that little loop. And just go ahead and press it down real good. I didn't do a very good job of putting that on there. It was kind of crooked. That's better. Rotate the rod out here, put it through that hole, grab these, and I try to put them right in the middle of the Velcro patch. The Velcro patches are 4 inches long. I'm going to go right in the middle of those. Now you see this one sagging? These little ball knobs, you can tighten them. That's still not getting tight. If you want to tighten it without having to use, there's a little clip on here, and I'll show you in a minute. But if you want this to be tightened more, you can cut the canopy loose, let it stand up, and go to the sporting goods store and get you a rosin bag. If you'll mix the rosin powder with alcohol and just put a drop or two in there, when you move that and it starts squeaking, it won't move. The problem is, when it rains, it washes it all out. But there is a little clip underneath here on a rod, and if I move that clip over underneath the visor, it's not going to come down. We're just going to do a little bit of riding here in the neighborhood. We just had the road spade here, so that's been real nice. Come on around me, Johnny. Just keep going. Let me see what you look like here from the back. Boy, that red's on fire.
Looks good.
And you can see when he's pumping on the pedals, that canopy is going up and down. We'll get over here on the hill, and yeah, it's a good speed. We'll look at all your little toys here. Tom's red is really red. He really has a nice red. Nice shirt.
Yeah, I got it from somebody.
Ah. We don't have a flag array on there yet. I'd say we've got things pretty well balanced out there on that canopy. Now, just kind of pedal normal, and watch the top. Just pedal normal, but pump, pump. There you go. Look at that. Almost hit your head.
I'll push hard.
Well, that's without the spring working. You're not going over bumps. That's just your normal pump. That is something I've never been able to photograph. Can you get it to make noise? Well, These are 25-inch front rods, and we've got about 9.5 inches down through the V-block in the back. Johnny, I would say that under the circumstances, you gotta, that is the setup for you, because you got plenty of headroom.
Yeah. And I'm gonna stiffen that shock up in the back.
Oh look, oh we got a, what was that, an 8 or 9? Oh, we'll take it. we got some judges. We're being judged now, Johnny.
But at least we were judged.
Yeah. We got a thumbs up for sure. Well, what I'll do, I'll pull some stills off this video, and we just kind of go from there. See if you get a thumbs up from the kids. I'm gonna let you go in front of me. Go ahead and take a left. Watch for traffic. Yeah, Tom's gonna have to get one of my shirts to match his yellow printing. I'd like to see what he thinks about my canopy on his trike. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna hand you the camera, and I'm gonna get on the other side of you. Just whatever you're pointing at, it'll film. It's on. So we're going home. We're gonna go home. Got a downhill here, so probably just coast. Johnny, I want to come back and get you underneath that tree with the shot.
I hope I've got you completely in frame because it's hard to see.
It is very hard.
I think I caught the best parts.
My words cannot describe that. I think Johnny's got a canopy smile and a trike smile all at once. He's all smile. I'm asking Johnny to pose, and I just hope that what I'm capturing here is what I think I'm capturing, because I can't really see what's going on. It sure does look nice, though. That is just great.